Hi everybody, these are some review reminders before we get ready for our summative assessment in class. The sections that we covered in Unit 3 began with ratios. And so here's a list of how to figure out your ratios, and then here's an example over here following this list. So our first problem is write a ratio for triangles to all shapes in 3 ways. So we go over here and we see that we've got 2 circles and we've got 4 triangles. So this phrase tells us to write the triangles first and then the all shapes second. So we've got 4 triangles, and then we've got all the shapes, the triangles and the circles would be 6. And because our phrase says triangles first and all shapes second, we make that a 4 to 6. If we reduce that, both of those can divide by 2, so that reduces to 2/3. And then writing it in the 3 ways would be 2:3, 2 with the word TO3, and then 2/3. And so my directions over here just say count your first number first, count your second number, make it a fraction, reduce it if you can, and then write it in the 3 forms. Next, we studied some special kinds of ratios, which were rates. Rates have different units. So here's an example, 25 miles for 5 gallons of gas. We can write that as a fraction, remembering to use our units as we write that. So 25 miles for 5 gallons of gas is a rate. Then we can change that into a unit rate by dividing them so that one of them is equal to 1. So in this case, we divided by 5 so that we would find out that it was 5 miles for 1 gallon. And that's our unit rate. Just divided both of those by 5. Here's another example, 36 words typed in 3 minutes. We make the rate out of that 36 words, fraction bar 3 minutes. That's our rate. To change it to a unit rate, then we divide the top number by the bottom number. So we divide by 3 and we get 12 words for 1 minute. That's our unit rate. All right, those are pretty, you guys did a really great job with those, so I think you kind of get them. Okay, so next we used our unit rate to fill out tables and double number lines. The important thing here is to remember to always get the unit rate, and then you use that unit rate, you either multiply or divide to fill out the rest of the chart. So here's a great example. Allison runs 36 miles in 6 days. We're going to use that rate to fill out our double number line here. So the unit rate is 36 divided by 6, or 6 miles per day. Now we use that 6 and either multiply or divide by 6 to fill in our chart. So here's our chart. There are 2 things missing where the question marks are. And in order to fill out this question mark right here, the number of miles that she can run in 2 days, we're going to take our 2 and multiply it by our unit rate because we're going from a smaller number to a bigger number, and find out that she can run 12 miles in 2 days. Over here, we're given the bigger number. We're given the 18. That's how many miles she ran, and we're going to try to figure out how many days it took her to do that. So we're going to take our 24, divide it by 6, our unit rate, to find out that it would take her 3 days to cover 18 miles. For our table, then, we're told that Rachel runs 48 miles in 12 days. We figure out our unit rate by taking 48 and dividing by 12, and we find out that Rachel's running 4 miles per day. Let me take a minute here and just talk about who has the better rate or who runs further. So we see, comparing our unit rate, that Allison runs 6 miles per day. So she runs more on average than Rachel does because Rachel runs 4 miles per day. So again, when you're asked those questions about who has the better rate or who does more or who does less, make sure you're comparing those unit rates to come up with those answers. Okay, so we've got our chart here. We've got some things filled in and some things that are missing. So again, to go from the smaller number to the bigger number, from days to miles covered, we're going to multiply. To go from the bigger numbers to the smaller numbers, from miles covered to how many days it took us, we're going to divide. So we can see here that we know we have 2 days, and if we run 4 miles each day, that'll be 8 days, 8 miles here. And then here we see we have 24 miles that we're covering. We want to find out how many days that takes us, so we take our 24, divide by our unit rate, and we find out that would take us 6 days. Our last skill in this unit then was converting between the metric system and the customary system. So we are going to take our problem that we're given, and we're going to set up a proportion to solve these. A proportion is just 2 fractions that are equal to each other. So my first step is to make a fraction out of the problem. We put the 15 inches, the one we know, on top, and then the one we don't know, we call that x, and we remember our labels so that when we go to look for our conversion fact, we know which conversion fact to choose. I went to my conversion facts and I found out that 39.37 inches is equal to 1 meter. I take that conversion fact and I make another fraction out of it, making sure that I put inches across from inches and meters across from meters. Now, if you're using your shortcut, you know that because both numbers are in the numerator, we don't have a 1 up there because these are numbers other than 1. This is going to be a division problem. If we had the number here and the number here with the 1 up here, that would be a multiply problem. But one way we can do this then is to go ahead and cross multiply. So 15 times 1 right there, and then 39.37 times x. When I do 15 times 1, I get 15. In order to isolate this x, I'm going to divide by 39.37. And when I do that, I round it to 0.381. So make sure you pay attention to directions when they ask you what to round to or tell you what to round to there. All right, so that is it for this unit. Just a little reminder here, remember we will give you the conversion facts as you take your test, so you'll have those. So look this over, see if you have any questions, let us know so we can help you to be ready for that test.